Today we are driving the new Mazda 6-cylinder with all-wheel drive, and I'm going to tell you what do you need to know about the new Mazda SUV family. Let's go! This is Thomas with Autogefühl in 4K, full screen, full length. And what are the 5 most important things you need to know? Number 1, the family consists here of the Mazda CX-60 and the CX-80 with the third seating row for Europe. And in the North American market, it's the CX-70 and the CX-90. Once again, the bigger version with the third seating row. And styling-wise here, you can get them either with a brighter chrome look in the front right here, or as an alternative, a more sporty, sinister look here with the black accentuations. Number 2, a different way for the engines. Yes, they also have a 2.5-liter 4-cylinder plug-in, but the main thing is here was this dual engine cover here. It's interesting, right? Look at that here. And then this one, to keep this one open. So this is a 6-cylinder combustion engine, and either as a diesel 3.3 liter or as a petrol engine for the North American market, or a 3.0 liter petrol engine 6-cylinder for the European market, then with their Sky Active X special technology. This is like a petrol engine with a diesel ignition technology. Also very interesting, but definitely whereas everyone goes more downsizing, Mazda goes actually upsizing. And today we're going to test drive the all-wheel drive version of the 6-cylinder. Number 3, yes, 1, 2, 3. Here, the rear-wheel drive setup. So either you have pure rear-wheel drive, or if you have an all-wheel drive version like today, you still have rear-wheel bias. And they do that to fight against other competitors they have never been fighting with before. Here the CX-60, by the way, is the shortest model of their new SUV lineup with 4.75 m or 187 inches. But of course, it's then still bigger than a CX-5. Here in the front, you can see already right here, 20-inch wheels, also in a black styling available. Number 4, a new premium interior with better materials and a clean look that they can, for example, also interior-wise fight Audi, BMW, Mercedes, Lexus and so on. But number 5, keeping a straightforward user interface, no hashtag capacitive BS, real buttons at the steering wheel, a real climate unit, all with knobs and buttons to press with real feedback. Colors we can show you today, rhodium white or machine gray. And very popular with Mazda always is their Soul Red Crystal, because it has different layers. It's really a very shiny red color. I have one more, and that is here the Platinum Quartz. I think works very well with the vehicle. And here, I'm usually not the biggest fan of black accentuations, black wheels and so on, but I think with this color here, it works very well. Turning indicators here in the front, really cool with a separate integration right here. And the rear signature, I think this one is very clean and beautiful, but the turning indicators here, or the hazard lights, I think really small, isn't it? We've seen that sometimes now in recent vehicles that they tend to use super tiny rear indicators. Uh-oh, what do we have here? Autogefühl fake exhaust police alert, because this is a clear case here of using fake exhaust. Is it really necessary? Tell me in the comments. And now we are conducting a very interesting experiment together. When we think about the traditional premium competition, here the new Mazda premium SUVs, they are sometimes like 20,000 euros or dollars, or maybe a little bit more, less expensive than the competition models. But the question is, do you see and feel that? Or is it actually the same? And later on, when we find out about these details, you tell me, would you be willing to pay more money for, like, let's say, like Audi, BMW, Mercedes? Or would you say, oh, I don't care, I'd rather save the money and live with the details we found? Let's go. Panel gaps, they look very good. Definitely on the same level than the premium competition. By the way, the German word for that, the famous German Spaltmaße. Listen and repeat, Spaltmaße. Door closing sound. Sounds good and premium. The only thing I found here, look at that area here below here, like the whole metal is swinging quite a lot. But then again, positive note here, the lower door sill is very well protected also from rain and mud and so on. Cover for the Bose speakers, not that well done. Buttons for the window levers, here also with this galvanized top here, was well done as well. But here when we open or close the window, look at the vibration, look how how harsh it closes and opens, also the sound and so on. So here the Germans definitely open and close smoother. Seating position, not uncomfortable, but not best ergonomics for tall people, and also no side support here. So there the premium manufacturers, the traditional ones, offer more side support in the seat. My favorite manufacturer here for the seat ergonomics, Volvo. Some design flaw here at the inside of the doors. When I get into the vehicle with my long legs, look at that, how much it's standing out right here. I'll soon show you why it does that. It's not that someone would have gotten hurt here today already. So let's get inside, and then I'll show you here. When I close the door, they did it in a way that you then have like this even transition between the inside of the doors and the dashboard. From here it looks beautiful, but my knee also looks a little bit more colorful now. The interior build quality and the straightforward user interface, you can just applaud Mazda for doing that on the steering wheel, and also here in the lower part where more and more manufacturers go hashtag capacitive BS. They stay straightforward for the user interface, and it's also feeling really good as for the build quality. And also the digital instruments are nice and competitive. And the same accounts for the head-up display. I actually like this simple infotainment system. It's straightforward and fast. It's not over complex. Apple CarPlay is also available, but here you can see there is no touch in the Mazda setting. But as soon as you go to the CarPlay menu, then actually you can use the touch. And there's now a trick to do that also while driving. So the Mazda setting here is always deactivated as for the touch. But when you also want to use CarPlay while driving and with touch, connectivity settings, Bluetooth connectivity settings, then your personal smartphone, and then down below touchscreen in motion for all devices. And then, yes, I'm distracted, then you can also use the CarPlay with the touch while driving. Same also accounts for the Android Auto. Automatic shifting lever, the 80s called and want their shifting lever back. Look at that. Cup holder cover here. Definitely a cool premium experience. And the middle armrest here opens really nice, and listen to the clicking sound. Very well done. As an alternative, you can also get the bright interior. It's really beautiful. Look at here, also with the bright wood. Some say it's the old school, but I like it also with the gray fabric here, and also in the seat styling. A bright styling on the interior always gives you so much more light, I feel. However, when you want to go without animal skin, you can get black leatherette in the US versions or a black fabric all over the world. But here, this one only available in animal skin. The door handles at the rear doors, when you snatched them, they always made a very unpleasant sound. Here, just to show you, this is CX-3. Heard that? But here now, with the CX-60, they have it like, do you hear that? More low frequency, definitely sounds more premium. Well done. 90-degree opening for the rear doors, better than with the competition indeed. Easier to get child seats in and out. And here the rear legroom, well, at least for the CX-60 model, it's not that sufficient. So that's not the focus of this vehicle. That is worse than with the competition. It is, of course, then better with the bigger models of that family. Trunk or boot here, 570 liter. Definitely comparable. Here the width more than a meter or 40 inches, and the length about 95 centimeters or 37 inches. I really like this integrated solution here for this cover, because it moves down, rolls in, rolls out, and you don't have anything flying around right here. You have to unfold. And also here the folding of the rear bench. You have a split 1, 2, 3 basically, and they fold down like this. It's just that you can see here, when we have set the driver and the passenger seat for tall people, then it doesn't fit with folding flat. You have to move the seats forward then first. One thing I did notice on the negative side is the interior smell here in the all-new vehicle. It smells a little bit artificial and unpleasant. I hope that will go away then over time. So what do you think now? We found some things that were worse than the competition, something that was actually on the same level, and also a lot of things that are actually better and more likable. The question now is, if you pay like 20, 25,000 euros or dollar less for this one, Would you go for this one or with the traditional premium manufacturers? Welcome to Thomas's Driving Lounge with the Mazda CX-60. It also counts here for the 70, 80, 90, for this whole big SUV family, because they're all really, really similar. And now finally with the all-wheel drive version of this 6-cylinder, so we have a little bit more punch. We'll soon also show you an Autobahn acceleration. And from the handling, I don't feel any major difference. I'll soon also do some accelerating out. Here first some countryside routes. We have some steering action, and you see here a natural movement of the steering. You have quite some resistance indeed, and it really feels very natural. So steering feeling wise, you feel one with the vehicle. The only disadvantage is if you compare it to existing Mazda models, that here in this case it doesn't feel that sporty. For example, if you compare it to the smaller CX-5, but that's also not the intention of this vehicle here. It has rather this luxury focus. For the winding corners here, the seats don't give enough support, I feel. So you slide a little bit right and left. That should be better than overall. And this would also be something which is different to the German competitors. You know, we've been asking like, how can they keep up? There are certain details where they're not there yet, but they're like the perceived quality, look and feel, that's really awesome. But then in the driving agility, that's where the more expensive German competitor would be better indeed. But then of course it's always the question, is it worth to pay like 20,000 euros or $20,000 more to get that agile feeling? And some might say yes, some might say no. This is then a personal question, of course, if you can afford it or if you want to spend that money for that. It definitely gives you a good premium driving experience. Anything to deduct from that? Yeah, maybe also the smell while driving, especially when the car here is still new. It's not a very pleasant smell. I will compare that later on, maybe when I get a version with fabric seats, if that's maybe better. But that's something we did notice. Other than that, it is really more in the agile driving here that you don't have too much support from the seats. The suspension here is definitely better with the pure combustion engine than with the plug-in hybrid. The plug-in hybrid adds more weight, especially to the rear axle. And I felt that this would be a problem, especially when you are in a corner and at the same time you're driving over a bump or so. Here it doesn't lean too much to the side suspension-wise, so I feel suspension-wise it's fine. But then again, you know, with your body you move more. Indeed, when you precisely compare suspension and also the automatic gearbox, there's also still a gap to a German premium car, for example. But it's not that you would say like it's super bad or something, not at all. The automatic transmission here, it's an all-new one developed by Mazda. That one, because you have asked me about specifics for that, so it does not work with a torque converter. But it's also not a dual clutch transmission. It's basically something in between. With a wet clutch, yes, but not working as a converter. Yeah, it's a very interesting concept, and generally it works quite well. Let me show you here some acceleration and just feel how it shifts. Yeah, you feel that the transition is not that smooth, you know. So with the dual clutch transmissions, of course, they try to even out all the transitions basically, because the next gear is already put in. Then you're just switching the sides. And with the converter automatic gearbox, you feel notable gear changes. But usually when you think about like an 8-speed ZF automatic transmission or something, that is also a notable process, but it just gives you some kind of satisfaction. Here, this here, for example, what we just experienced, I was slowing down, and then inside the corner there was some kind of this like stuttering effect from the automatic transmission. Again, it's not too bad, but you don't feel there would be like perfection from the automatic gearbox. If you compare it to older Mazda automatic gearbox, the advantage is here that it's way more efficient. So in past models, when you bought a Mazda, you had perfect manual transmissions. They were so great always. They still are. And when you went for automatic transmission, that meant that you have higher consumption, therefore higher consumption. Here now they found a more efficient automatic gearbox. That was also one of the main concerns or main goals. Here also in the roundabout, doesn't feel that sporty, but it's still fine, As long as the steering is fine, that also adds to the whole car feeling. Definitely car feeling, of course. Autogefühl, the direct translation. Listen and repeat, Autogefühl. So yeah, always some German lessons here in our driving parts overall. So agile driving, somewhat okay, not too bad, not too good. Lacking something in to the CX-5 in agile driving and also to the Germans. But still, you have a pleasant driving experience anyway, and of course a premium feeling when looking at the stuff and also using that whole user interface. Something what I also noticed with the adaptive cruise control was that sometimes when you set the adaptive cruise control and you are in a corner and then maybe on the next autobahn lane or something there's another car, then the sensor doesn't really look into the corner but looks straight and then is reducing speed because the sensor thinks, oh, the car on the other lane is in front of you. So that is something they also need to fix over time, almost like the cycling teams are also out here. Yeah, and about this all-wheel drive now, driving feeling is not really different when you accelerate out the corner. I can also set the sport mode here. So you always have rear-wheel bias, no matter if you have all-wheel drive or of course pure rear-wheel drive. So here you remain within rear-wheel bias. So you also feel a nice behavior out of the corners. Here I think the main difference is just that you have a little bit more punch because the rear-wheel drive version was to me not quick enough really. And let's check out how it is on the Autobahn. Motorway driving, 80 to 120 kilometers an hour in the sport mode. Let's go. Plop, that's it. Was also slightly uphill. And indeed, this all-wheel drive model now of this 6-cylinder is the second quicker in the acceleration figure. It's 8.5 seconds versus 7.5 seconds. It's 200 or 250 horsepower difference. Here then with the 3.3 liter 6-cylinder diesel all-wheel drive, 250 horsepower. So a little bit quicker. It doesn't feel like it would be a completely different vehicle, but you just get a little bit more punch. And I think the all-wheel drive is not that crucial. It's more about that the power is crucial because when you buy like a large premium SUV, 8.5 seconds is, I think, just not quick enough, Yeah, with some recent cars, they're going so quick, it's not really necessary. But here, 8.5 seconds for such a vehicle, when you also have some load in, or for example, like this, I think it should be a little bit quicker. So the all-wheel drive version in here with a little bit more horsepower is to me then the better version because it just gives you a little bit more punch what you would expect from such a vehicle and also in this price category. At the same time, the fuel economy is once again really great. This time because, here at the moment with the motorway focus, even better here at around 5 liters on 1 kilometers, 47 mpg US, 56 mpg UK. And when you have some more city traffic inside, then it's more like 6 liters, what we also had last time. That's then like around 8 mpg less than at this moment, but overall a good result. So it does make sense as a long-term vehicle, and that's also really focused here also with the seats, for example. So as long as you keep it very smooth and steady, it's actually fine. These seats hardly have any side support. And here on the motorway, that's not a problem at all. But when you have winding corners, that is a problem indeed. But here it's actually fine. I wouldn't say it's more comfortable than the CX-5. That was to me a little bit disappointing because bigger vehicles should be more comfortable, I think. But I think the CX-5 also does a good job right there. Noise insulation wise, here at 120 kilometers an hour is totally fine. So very low wind noise and so on. You can relax. Long term is actually no problem. And also with the engine here, you do hear these so-called Dieselnageln. Listen and repeat, Dieselnageln. That's the German word for, like the literal translation would be diesel nailing. And we call that in German Nageln because it's like this, like when needles go in, it sounds like, do you hear that? It's like this, you maybe know when you have driven the diesel ones, this typical diesel sound, and it's just not that satisfying as a 6-cylinder petrol sound. So in that respect, the 6-cylinder petrol will be better. We will of course deliver a review to you with that one as soon as it's available here also in Europe. There will be a difference that you have this 3.0 Skyactiv X in Europe, where you have the 3.3 liter petrol engine without this Skyactiv X technology in the Northern American market, but both will be 6-cylinder. So motorway experience here really good, and also good fuel economy. Also, when you use the steering here on the motorway, that's totally fine. You need more force, and I think that's good because nowadays a lot of vehicles have, so to speak, dead steering wheels. You don't have a feeling at all, and here you do have a feeling of what's happening on the road. Assistant systems, you can set it here easily on the right side with the thumb. Straightforward user interface, I like it. It's so easy to control everything while driving. Zooming in and out on the... What's going on here? Zooming in and out on the map. This guy's... Not sure what's going on here. So here, zooming in and out on the map is easy. Volume control, everything here. Volume control also on the left side on the steering wheel. So easy to control it while driving, I like it. And also the drive mode selector is quite easy to reach there. In the sport mode, just the RPMs go a little bit higher. That's it basically. Let's see if there's any steering change. Yeah, you have a little bit more resistance in the sport mode indeed with the steering wheel. So yeah, that's actually also a quite nice feature. And now tune in to more CX-60 content, and soon coming up, the question, is it really a Japanese BMW? We will do a head-to-head comparison test, Mazda CX-60 with or against the BMW X3. Stay subscribed and also hit the notification bell. All-wheel drive. And I'm telling you, I'm going to tell you. But the question is, here, the Mazda CX-60 or also the CX-6, you pay like 20,000 euros, maybe even a little bit more or less. Number 4, going to the premium segment with this all-new... Was war denn?